Hi guys, if you have noticed that you are paying more and more for your food shopping, then you would be correct. Stats New Zealand has just put out its latest SPI or Selected Prices Index that measures price rises for a number of different goods. Please bear in mind that the RBNZ will be looking at this data closely, and it should, if it is truly independent and not just a shill for the banking and real estate cartels, not be dropping interest rates anytime soon until inflation is back in its box, which means the overall CPI should be as close to 2% as you can possibly get. The data in this release does not cover everything in the main CPI basket, but they do account for a substantial percentage, and this latest jump in prices should start worrying the RBNZ. Food inflation like this affects the poorest in society the most, and I know that normally poor people do not concern the RBNZ because all they are working for is the rich, which they more than proved during the COVID period, but I was hoping that Christie and Hawkesby actually had a moral compass and could see right from wrong, which would be a trait that's been sadly lacking in the RBNZ for far too long now. But I suppose we'll find out next week when the latest OCR is announced. If the board cuts next week, then we know that they're a lost cause, and we know what they're trying to do once again: reignite the dying housing Ponzi flame. How depressing that is as far as their ambitions have taken them over and over again. It's obvious to the rest of us that a new path is desperately needed. So let's read the latest Stats New Zealand release. Food prices increase 5% annually. Food prices increased 5% in the 12 months to July 2025, following a 4.6% increase in the 12 months to June 2025, according to figures released by Stats New Zealand today. So look at this chart, the period here where it goes up and up and up, that is when inflation was just crushing the country. The RBNZ raised rates enough to stamp out inflation, and it went down and down and down, but they didn't stamp it out enough. And what they did, they started cutting way too early, and now inflation's going to the moon again. All 5 food groups recorded higher prices when compared to this time last year. Prices and Deflators spokesperson Nicola Growden said. Higher prices for the grocery food group, up 5.1%, contributed the most to the annual increase in food prices. The price increase for the grocery food group was due to higher prices for milk, butter and cheese. The average price for milk was $4.70 per 2 litres, up 16% annually. Butter was $8.59 per 500 grams, up 42.2% annually. Cheese was $13.01 per 1 kilogram block, up 29.5% annually. The average prices for milk, butter and cheese reflect the cheapest available option for each. The price for 2 litres of milk has increased 33.9% since July 2020, Growden said. In the 12 months to July 2025, milk prices contributed more to the increase in overall food prices than any other food item. And just look at that chart, look at the price of milk going to the moon. Prices for the meat, poultry and fish group, up 7.9%, was the next largest contributor to the annual increase in food prices. The increase in the meat, poultry and fish group was driven by higher prices for beef steak and beef mince, up 24.6% and 19.3% respectively. The average price of 1 kilo of beef mince cost $21.97 in July 2025, about $3.50 more than a year ago, Growden said. Once again, look at the chart, just look at it going to the moon. RBNZ, what are you playing at? The annual price increases for the remaining food groups in order of contribution were fruit and vegetables up 7.3%, restaurant meals and ready-to-eat food up 2.2%, and non-alcoholic beverages up 4.4%. Next we have this part. Rent prices increased 2.4% annually. Rent prices increased 2.4% in the 12 months to July 2025, following a 2.6% increase in the 12 months to June 2025. Rent prices are still increasing, but at the lowest rate since 2011, Growden said. Now, the very fact that rent prices in New Zealand are not dropping 20% shows how corrupt the New Zealand property market is. It's a low-wage economy. Rent prices should be nowhere near as high as what they are. And if there's anybody out there who says rent prices are fair price, then why is the accommodation supplement sucking out billions and billions of dollars of taxpayers' money each year because people can't afford the rents, and the taxpayer has to give the tenant money to give to the landlord to be able to afford to live in that place? So here's some key facts. The following table sets out the key percentage changes in monthly and annual prices. We compare July 2025 with June 2025 for the monthly percentage change, and July 2025 with July 2024 for the annual percentage change. So let's just look at a few of the monthly percentage changes first of all. There's fruit and vegetables of 4.3% in a month, but perhaps that's a seasonal change, I'm not sure. Meat, poultry and fish is up 1.4%. You got non-alcoholic beverages down 0.6% and alcoholic beverages up 0.5%. You got electricity over the month up 1%. Gas up 0.4%. So this month petrol's gone up 1.2% and diesel's gone up 2.3%. Domestic air transport is up 2.8% and international air transport is up 9%. Then you got domestic accommodation up 6.2% and international accommodation up 2%, but I don't think that's going to affect the poorest in society, do you? So then if we look at the annual percentage changes, fruit and vegetables up 7.3%, meat, poultry and fish up 7.9%, grocery food 5.1%, non-alcoholic beverages up 4.4%, restaurant meals and ready-to-eat food up 2.2%, alcoholic beverages up 0.9%, cigarettes and tobacco up 4.8%, stock measure of rental property up 2.4%. But then if we look at this here, electricity up 11% in the year and gas up 14.1% in the year. Now there's a little asterisk on them and it says annual percentage change from July 2025 monthly index compared with September 2024 quarterly collection. So they're big increases once again in the year, and that's important. People need heating and to be able to cook things. Then you got petrol down 3.7%, diesel down 7.2%, domestic air transport down 5%, international air transport is up 7.1%, domestic accommodation down 4.4%, and international accommodation up 20.5%. You gotta feel sorry for them landlords on them cruises paying an extra 20.5%. I suppose they can just put the rent up though to cover it. So yes guys, once again, food inflation is accelerating away. And the RBNZ is actually considering dropping rates again next week just to save the housing Ponzi. You really couldn't make this up. The RBNZ has one job, which is to get inflation within the 1 to 3% band, ideally as close to 2% as possible. They should be raising rates next week, not even dreaming about cutting. The Ponzi is the only thing holding them back from doing the right thing, and this whole charade has gone on long enough. I'm sorry all you landlords out there, but it is time to cut the Ponzi loose. Stop using taxpayers' money to protect it. It is just becoming a giant black hole that's eating up taxpayers' money. It is dragging New Zealand down with it. Some of the most basic things that we need just to survive are food, water and shelter. Now the government and the RBNZ have done everything in their power to make the shelter part of the equation extremely unaffordable. Now they're making the food part of the equation also extremely unaffordable. So how long before they make water extremely unaffordable also? The RBNZ needs to stop feeding the Ponzi and look after people's most basic needs for once. So thanks for watching guys. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers for that.